Welcome, everybody, to Bar Talk, the spirits and beverage podcast out of the Relief and Resource Company in Fenton, Michigan, from deep inside the recesses of the Relief and Resource Company in Fenton, Michigan. We are here with our Whiskey Roundup Part 2. Yes, this is the American side of it. So we talked about Scotch before, but you can't do a Whiskey Roundup in one episode. We damn near did an hour last time, so we're going to do about probably as long as it takes us to talk about all these awesome whiskeys that we tried. But we're focusing on the whiskeys that we tried this year that were either new, that came out this year that hit the bar, or stuff that we kind of just discovered or really gained a better appreciation for this year. Yeah. So we're focusing on mostly bourbon. I think we have two ryes that we're going to speak about. But before we get into it, please, if you're watching this on iLogic Media or aware of iLogic, they're a production company, so check out all the awesome content that they provide along with, our clearly heads and shoulders.
Give them a like, give them a follow, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, football stuff, gambling stuff, probably some drunken history stuff, etc. But Bourbon and Rye, we're going to talk a little bit about these products. We're going to talk about the distilleries, who makes them, why we like them.
Yeah.
This isn't a negative show. We're not going to talk about anything that sucks or why it sucks.
We would never do such a thing.
Those bottles are still in the bar.
Yes. Every other bottle that we didn't pull off of our 450 bottle back bar are the ones who suck.
This is true.
Obviously. Everything else is being thrown out right now by elves. We're only going to make
this is all that we have left, plus the scotches that we talked about before.
Probably shouldn't have thrown away the vermouth or the Cointreau, but
anyhow, what do you want to start with?
What do we want to start with? I don't know. It's tempting to try to piece this together chronologically, which I kind of don't want to do. But I think what we should do is start with a couple. We end up talking about a lot of whiskey that's really hard to get and very, very expensive, but we happen to have at least two right away on this list that are available every day and super cheap and really great. And that's what I think I want to impart to everybody. If you're into bourbon and you're on these bourbon forums and you're listening to these people talk about secondary market pricing and all these extremely hard to get bottles and how super ridiculous expensive they are, there is a big trend right now in bourbon where the prices are going up, availability is going down. There are, exactly.
Pure economics, man.
Yeah, and especially with the allocated product, it's awful to try to get anything. But you got to remember that bourbon is still a really great blue collar beverage, and there's still a lot of baseline, available all the time whiskeys that are just killer for the money. And we saw two ones that we added to the back bar this year that I totally think would be great any day sippers. You make cocktails with them, not even field bags. They're not expensive.
Right.
Yeah, and they're still quintessentially great bourbons. So the first one we'll start with is Evan Williams 1783. So those who already are familiar with Evan Williams know that Evan Williams is synonymous with value for price, right? The white label, the 100 proofer is like a $20-something bottle. Is it even $20? Is it $19.99?
For white label? Yeah, I think it's like $19.99. Yeah.
Right, in Michigan anyway. Yeah, I don't know how far our reach is. If you're listening somewhere other than Michigan,
Zimbabwe.
Yes, if you're a Welshman listening to this show, I don't know if I can help you find it. However,
I can find it.
So Courtney can help you find it in your own language. She can help you find it.
I was just going to say,
Welshman can help you find. Yeah, exactly. Welsh magic and the old gods. Good. Anyway, so Evan Williams, the black label, the white label, very, very affordable, well done bourbons for the money. The single barrel has been a banger of a bottle for about $30 a bottle for a long, long time. That's allocated, locked a little bit, but still not that hard to find. But this represents kind of a rebranding of what I always thought was a little bit of a forgotten label in the Evan Williams portfolio. The 1783.
I didn't even know they made one before we got this bottle.
So I carried it a few years ago when I was at the laundry down the street, and we put it on the shelf, and it had a different bottle. I believe it was a round little squat boy. Not quite like a Barton bottle, but a little bit like a Barton bottle.
Same vibes.
Yeah, and it wasn't labeled as a small batch then, even though I think it was. And remember, kids listening at home, small batch only means that it's a smaller batch of barrels used in the blending than the other stuff they make. There's no regulation over what small batch means. It just means it's smaller than some of the other stuff you make. It's a smaller batch bourbon than, say, white label or black label. But then they switched the bottle, they rebranded it a little bit, and got it back out into the market. And I was just surprised by how how good it is.
Yeah, and I admittedly myself am not a big fan of the white label Evan Williams, but this I think is quite
No,
a
you're
lovely
not,
whiskey.
actually. You've
It's generally my last bottle to pick for anything.
For a cocktail or anything?
For a cocktail, yeah. I just find it to be very, very sweet. I mean, even though it is bourbon, it's still very sweet, I think. But this stuff I think is quite lovely.
It's interesting that you mentioned, you kind of said your little quip about Welshman because Evan Williams happens to be of Welsh heritage.
Really?
A ridge.
Oh, the Orig. The Orig.
EVW.
E-V-A-N. Yes, Evan Williams. And what reminded me of it is because in the back of the bottle it says Evan Williams earned the title of Kentucky's first distiller in 1783, the year that they put on the bottle label there. So the first distiller in Kentucky was Welsh heritage.
Welsh heritage.
You're welcome.
Did I get lucky or did I already know?
Inspiration
I got
comes to France.
totally lucky.
Side note, if you're just listening, I am chasing my bourbon with coffee, so I'm basically like drinking Four Locos right now. So we'll see how the rest of the
Is
day
that what a
goes.
Four Loco is?
It's got
No,
like,
if that was a Four Loko, I'd buy a Four Loko.
a Four Loko is just like malt liquor and caffeine.
White Dog and, yeah.
It's awful,
Okay.
awful stuff. Anyhow.
There was a thing on the market when I was in college called Sparks. It was like 8% and like loaded with like 4 Red Bulls worth of caffeine.
Jesus God.
And you would just imbibe it and feel your heart want to race.
Just explode.
There's no place to put that energy.
Yeah.
You either have to like find a task, play a video game, or go on a kill crazy rampage. I'm surprised there weren't like Sparks fueled crimes.
There probably were. They
But
just
nobody-
weren't
Those are just the ones they
advertised,
swept under the rug because they didn't want people to know about it.
Yes.
It's a government thing. Collusion.
But no, this is a really nice whiskey. It's
Yeah.
balanced. It's got
It is.
it's got enough kind of muscle to be a good old fashioned or a
Absolutely, yeah.
Manhattan. You can do a lot with it. It wouldn't be sad to put it in a juice based cocktail. It's just a killer label and something that we admittedly were sleeping on. Our Heaven Hill rep brought it and said, "Hey, when was the last time you tasted this?" I said, "Well, it's like 5 or 6 years ago," and just really happy to have it in the lineup.
It's hot in the esophagus.
What, the coffee?
The coffee and the ethanol burn. Yep.
Well, why didn't you? You're in
No,
the
sorry.
Yeti. You should pour it into a glass, let it air out, and cool off.
I'm just gonna pour it in the Glencairn, mix the bourbon. It'll be great. Anyhow,
Terrible idea.
moving on.
Yeah, balanced finish. Lots of corn sweetness on the finish, but nothing about it is cloying, and your proof is 90 proof. So really any application that you want, not too hot. And I know that there's a lot of people who don't like the proof that low these days, but there's plenty of place for well integrated mellower bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 90 is a good proof too, where you can taste the intricacies of the bourbon without just getting
Blown out your palate.
blown out with.
Yeah, you can break this one out
alcohol.
for your friends too, and like
Yeah.
it's like everybody can have a
Party
have a
lasts a
pour.
little bit longer.
Correct. And the other
Budget.
really nice, budget, bourbon that we like this year is Old Tub from Beam.
Unfiltered.
Yeah, unfiltered, about $22, our cost anyway, for a 750, which is killer 100 proof. And this is one of the newest products from Beam that I know of. One of the first new products from Beam that I've seen at like a low price point. But
Yeah.
it doesn't carry the Beam label, and doesn't carry a label from like any of their other brands. So it's not been a part of the Knob Creek portfolio or anything else. It's Old Tub.
Yeah, this guy works great in cocktails. Works great just drinking it by itself too. I think it's all around just it's a workhorse of a whiskey.
Yeah, this is a good old fashioned bourbon.
And I will say this bourbon, more than a lot of other bourbons, is very kind of like herbaceous and like earthy. And there's more to it than just like caramel and barrel, I think.
More
You know?
like zero grain.
Yeah, well, and if it's unfiltered, you
That's
should
true,
be
yeah.
able to get more of that. These quote unquote impurities that you get rid of in filtration are sometimes really good things for flavor.
Yeah, I just made a face because of
I saw
the
you make
idea.
the face.
Like the impurities is an arbitrary term. I mean, it'd be one thing if you had like just pure certain molecules in there that are just purely harmful to you, but a lot of times it's just the things that some people find bitter or grassy or whatever the notes you might end up getting though. But I think it makes it more well-rounded.
So yeah, remember that like ubiquity of flavor is not always a good thing. Like whiskeys should have character. Some of the things you think are off flavors are not. They're actually the character of the bourbon. All bourbons aren't supposed to taste the same.
Right.
They're not all supposed to taste like vanilla and nutmeg and fucking pie crust. Like they're supposed to taste individual. And
Corn is a grain.
yeah, off flavors are different. Off flavors are flavors of oxidation or chemical flavors. I like this. It's got a almost like a real cool, like you said, herbaceous, lifty type of mid palate. Yeah. It finishes nice and clean, even though it's higher proof. I did say correctly 100, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say is that I get less like ethanol or alcohol burn from tub than I do in the
I thought that the minute I sipped it. Yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah.
So if you're going out and you're going to a party or you want to bring along a bottle and you don't want to break the bank, if you can find this, go get it. It's excellent. Yeah. And it starts a small little theme about a distillery that had a great year. We're going to talk more about Beam throughout the show because Beam had a good year. Yeah. They had a really good year.
Cranking out good juice.
Yeah, and
just flavored whiskey.
well, they all do that though, right?
They all do, yeah. No,
you can get Wild Turkey Honey and Evan Williams eggnog, and
it's the ones that people think about during the holidays a lot. Are those like really sweet syrupy ones that
I've never had the Evan Williams eggnog, but it sounds awful to me.
People like it.
But does eggnog sound awful to you?
No, I love eggnog, but just like the idea of pre-made store-bought eggnog. Yeah. That who knows how long that's been sitting on the shelf. Even though I understand there's alcohol in it, it's fine. Not my thing.
Have you ever had Avocado?
Oh no!
I forgot about this. I'm going to continuously mention Avocado in this podcast until we actually
make it.
Because
every time you hear John Foley mention Avocado.
I've never had it, and I think it's so gross sounding. And they spill it on Jack Nicholson in The Shining. It looks awful. Like he'll never get it off that jacket. And it's right up until then, like he hasn't done anything truly psycho. And it's not the ghost; it's the avocado that he gets spilled on his jacket that finally pushes him over the edge. He's going to have to kill people.
Well, and tell the people too what avocado is actually. I forget.
It's a brandy-based custard liqueur.
Yeah.
With eggs.
Yeah.
And I think it's Dutch.
So you know that shit's just curdling, man.
But it doesn't because they put a bunch of
the
hooch in there.
No thanks.
We'll do it in a lemon drop shot. So no way if we had citrus to it would anything bad happen.
Right.
Coming up, the all avocado episode.
We're just all passed out on the fucking
Or puking custard. Yeah, disgusting. Okay, so two straight up bourbons, really, really like value driven bourbons. I think maybe next we should talk about. I mean, we're a little late to this party because I think it did come out in 2019, but we didn't get it until last year. But that's the Elijah Craig Rye.
Elijah Craig Rye.
Yeah. Heaven Hill as well, though.
Yeah.
So straight in line with their normal 94 proof. So the regular Elijah Craig bourbon is 94 proof, so they put this one at that as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're going to expand the Elijah Craig portfolio beyond just the 94 proof bourbon and rye, because then they have the barrel proof stuff and they have the single barrel stuff that they're allowing people to do store picks of, etc. So,
I mean, I would love it if they did expand it, but you know me, I love Elijah Craig. I think they're perfect as is. Don't mess with the, if it's broke, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's a pretty tried and true label. Evan Williams has been, God damn it, Elijah Craig. This whiskey has been synonymous with.
Did I say Evan Williams?
No, I did twice. I did twice.
Elijah Craig, good stuff.
Elijah Craig is synonymous with great quality.
Without doubt.
94 proof is a really, really, really like split the middle proof.
Yeah, and this is, we were talking about how Evan Williams White Label is my last bottle to pull if I'm making anything behind the bar. Usually Elijah Craig's my first bottle.
Bourbon or rye.
Bourbon or rye, yeah, because it sits in that beautiful price range where you can still do cocktails with it. But just drinking it neat too is awesome as well.
You get more qualities out of it too. Than the Evan Williams.
Like someone who wants like dealer's choice old fashioned. I was like, have you ever had Elijah Craig? And most of the time, surprisingly, they're like, no, never had it. Or maybe like once or twice, but yeah, it's good stuff.
It is kind of surprising how many people haven't had it because it is around.
What, it's only like a $25, $30 bottle?
Yeah, I think so. I think on the shelf it's just sub 30.
Yeah.
It's funny when I go to Detroit, a lot of times they're for an old fashioned seems to be Elijah Craig to me.
Yeah,
like what you guys said. You have a lot of people who
I think it's always been a really good industry brand. Like
it's a great industry whiskey.
I think we have a lot of people in the industry who are hip to how good Heaven Hill is and like to pull that because of its price point.
Yeah.
But I think the average consumer, when they're going out and buying something at a supermarket or a liquor store, they don't think about that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just because some of the other brands in that price point kind of got there first in their mind. They're going to go and buy Woodford, or they're going to try to go and buy Buffalo Trace or Knob Creek. And I think if you're spending that kind of money, you're going to be great with Elijah Craig.
And I have to remind myself, but it has the minty quality that I like in my ryes.
Yeah.
Personally, I like the spice and I like the heat and I like the grain, but I always love that either mint or eucalyptus flavor that follows it. It's just like a nice contrast between that heat and that
which is very present, in this whiskey.
I think when this first came out, we were kind of led to believe that it was going to be more limited than it has been. So we haven't had a hard time carrying it, and hopefully that continues. Obviously, there's going to be. I don't know if the strike is still going on, but there's going to be some sort of concern depending on where you stand with things, and there is a union aspect to what's going on with Heaven Hill, and the fact that they are still producing whiskey while there's a strike going on. Mm-hmm. So, spend your money how you like.
Yeah. I'm still going to keep buying it. I love Elijah Craig, man.
Yeah, it's going to get worked out, hopefully, to everybody's benefit. So. Yeah. We're going to revisit Elijah Craig later.
Yes.
Because we're going to save that big ass honker over there for the end.
The big ass honker.
It's a honker. Put it in your mouth, switch it around. It honks hard. Legions, yeah. Two true legends, one truly unique bourbon. So on the back it says right here, Master Distiller now of Beam is Fred Noe. Fred Noe is the grandson of Booker Noe, as in Booker's. Mm-hmm. And as most of you know, hopefully, those who don't, Beam is owned majority by the Suntory company. It's a Japanese whiskey company, Japanese spirits company. That purchase happened 5, 6, maybe 10, a while ago, maybe 10 years ago. And really they, among other things, what they've done is they're now controlling kind of the worldwide market for Beam. Most of what Beam has done hasn't really changed. If anything, there's more labels.
It's almost just like it got looped in. They've just got a new owner, but it's the same.
Yeah,
they're still producing a lot of the same whiskey, but they've also.
But since the purchase, we've seen stuff like Legion, like Old Tub. We've seen different stuff come out of the Knob Creek label. We've seen the expansion of the Basil Hayden label, specifically with Rise. Yeah. And Legion's the first collaboration between Fred Noe, the master distiller who oversees everything that happens at Beam, and let's see if I can do this without screwing it up. What is this? I thought it was. I was looking at his name. I was for a second there when you pointed at the bottle. I was hoping there was a pronunciation guide.
No, but it's a little bit easier to pronounce it there. Just
Shinji Fukuyo. Shinji Fukuyo, who is the master distiller at Suntory.
Yeah.
So collaborative.
I think that's it.
Still a bourbon. So follows all the rules of bourbon in terms of proof in barrel, proof in bottle, the requisite amount of corn. Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to be like a fly on the wall in that meeting where they were talking about like what each company's going to contribute to this whiskey and how that all played out,
Because is it a blend between their two products, or it's simply a bourbon that's...
Well, no, it's just a bourbon.
From what I'm to understand, hold it up too. From what I'm to understand, the collaboration comes from bourbon distillation and Japanese blending and barrel aging techniques.
Okay.
I see that, yeah.
And tasting it right off the bat, you can definitely tell that's the thing. It's got those bourbon flavors, but it's very nice and mellow.
It's got a combination of wine and sherry cask finishing is what I'm rating here.
Wine and sherry cask finishing as well?
Yeah.
Which doesn't surprise me at all, because the nuttiness from the sherry is very present. And
I've heard of Japanese whiskeys too.
Mm-hmm. And for 94 proof, it's got a nice settle. Mm-hmm. On the finish. Yeah. It really just kind of mellows right out. And if you've ever sipped like good Japanese whiskey, it's all about elegance and balance and harmony.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Shout out to Hakushu 12.
For having all those notes.
It's just my favorite Japanese
kick-ass Japanese whiskey. Yeah, if we're mentioning Suntory.
Hard bottle to get to these days.
And whenever we have one, it goes really, really, really fast.
Well, I'm pretty sure Bo drinks like 3/4 of a bottle to himself.
Oh, Bo, if you're listening,
take us a couple bottles.
If you're listening, good on you, bud.
God bless you, Bo.
He's like, that reminds me.
Yeah,
I gotta go get some more of that.
He texted me today because he's been doing his advent calendar, right? Yeah. And he just drank Elmer T. Lee and Balcones. He's like, these are so great. How have I never had these? I'm like, Bo, I poured those for you multiple times.
He's also going out of order if he's drinking those already.
Yeah, I mean, he was behind a couple days. So
I think he went on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
And then he came back and just went on an advent bender.
Binge.
Yeah.
Anyhow, shout outs to you, Bo Marshall.
Okay. So, let's see, we'll wait on that one for a second. This guy is, it's 95, right? We're trying to, proof is nice.
Yeah. Well, what's this guy?
100. Okay. So, way over. This one, you just pointed to Bardstown. Bardstown is 110 proof. We'll wait on it.
Woo! I did not realize that was that high.
But the one we are talking
That's
about.
strong. For those listening, really strong. So another wonderful product. You get to work with me all night.
I
too.
can't wait.
Is the Thomas S. Moore whiskeys, or we call them s'mores whiskeys?
I
Thomas
do call
Moore.
them s'mores whiskey
Yeah.
because marshmallow is my favorite thing. So if it has an association, it's getting it.
Trademark Courtney Booms.
There were 3 of these, all put out by the Barton Distillery. So Barton is another distillery owned in Kentucky by the Sazerac Company. So they're kind of a little, like now, a business cousin of Buffalo Trace. But the whiskeys produced there are very old Barton, 1792, and Thomas S. Moore. We don't know if these are going to come back out, but there were 3 of them. They were all 97 proof barrel finished bourbons. I believe just standard Barton high rye grain bill, then finished in port, sherry, and Cabernet Sauvignon barrels, respectively. I've mentioned on the show that I am not a huge fan of ordinary wine finished whiskey. I like fortified wine barrel finished whiskey, so the port I was already ready to like and did. The other 2 were massive surprises.
Yep.
To me.
Super
Absolutely.
interesting. Which one do we pull for this?
The Chardonnay.
The Chardonnay.
Yeah, because the Chardonnay was the weirdest
Yeah.
one. Like,
Oh
in the
my
best
God.
possible way.
But it was the most
not
standout one, I
Not
thought.
at all what I was expecting from it, and that's what made it more stand out to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Buttery notes.
I have a history as a wine buyer once upon a time in my career, and one of the things I hated more than anything, because I was trained on European wine, was super oaky, buttery Chardonnay. It doesn't have any food application. I can't stand it in style. I hate the kind of like petrol like slickness that happens on my palate, and then all that just like flipping oak that just like bombs out my palate on the finish, and all the things that I dislike about oak Chardonnay work amazingly well as a barrel finish for bourbon.
The bourbon barrel just pulls out everything that
Man.
you want from it and leaves everything behind.
Such a
that you don't
cool,
want, which is
silky,
awesome.
weird little experimental
It
bourbon.
smells hot though. On the nose, it smells like a really hot whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
But flavor-wise, it's smooth as silk.
What I remember out of it is wanting to make like a pecan pie or like a caramel sauce out of it or
Yes.
something
Yeah.
because of those really, really buttery notes. Oof.
And what's the proof on it again?
97.9.
97. It's a very gentle 97.
Well, that's what wine barrel finishing is supposed to do, right? It's supposed to round things out and make them not nearly as hot. I mean, that's part of the. I think the integration is that what the producer is looking for is to help, because you taste a lot of alcohol and a lot of burn on the finish, right? So a barrel finishing will help kind of give that a little bit something else.
It like just takes you in its arms and says, "It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Does
okay,
it?
baby.
So-
You can like Chardonnay. It's
Oh
okay."
man, if buttery Chardonnay were a person, like now I'm thinking of a really like nurturing,
Yes.
like 90s lady.
Yeah.
Like,
Mrs.
Yeah.
Doubtfire.
but
If
she's
she
wearing
was-
all leopard print.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There is that weird.
All
kind
of it.
A little bit of like a stylish.
Yep, and she's going to nurture you with this whiskey and her buttery Chardonnay.
Yeah.
But only until the apps come, because she's just there for apps.
right.
And then she's moving on because she's
It's
got to meet friends
almost-
at the other place.
Right. It's almost kind of like if George Costanza's mom was less aggressive.
Oh, right.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I don't think of her as a oak
Consider
Chardonnay.
her aggressive,
What do you think she
though.
drinks?
Box wine.
Yeah. Like slow gin topped with box wine on ice.
This is a fictional character we're talking about, so not making too much fun,
Yeah.
luckily. But
Yeah.
I think that could be true.
If you haven't watched Seinfeld, get on it.
Throw you behind.
Yeah, you are. So the Thomas Moore whiskeys, limited amounts. I don't know how much of them are still around. I don't know if they're coming back out, but we kind of have to mention them because we were pretty impressed. Took them because of an allocation, didn't want to say no, was nervous about what the product would taste like, and really just very happy.
Yeah.
And the
And if you want to try this and you're listening to this soon after it gets released, we still have 2 full bottles of the port and the Cabernet, like one each, and then 2 full bottles of the Chardonnay
A little
as
bit
well.
more.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
come on in and try it.
A little bit more.
It's
Price
good
isn't
stuff.
too bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
All right. What do you want to do
What's the
next?
next one?
Well, there's another barrel finish product that we have to talk about. We don't have much of it left, but really we get this every year. It's from our friends in High West, Park City, Utah. A Midwinter Night's Dram, blend of straight rye whiskeys finished in French oak port barrels, bottled at the High West Distillery. The bottled at High West thing is kind of important, and we'll get into that in a second. But we only get a limited amount of this. It's already a pretty sought-after whiskey, so if you're like a bourbon rye hunter type person, you already know this whiskey. We're not going to really tell you anything that you don't know about it. For those who don't, we've got older rye stock from High West. I would imagine I don't know if they've actually declared this, I've never really looked, but it's basically, I think, the Rendezvous rye age, the 6 and 10 year old, and then refinished in port barrel casks at 100 proof, 198.6, and just a masterpiece of barrel finishing.
I was just thinking, if we all pour ourselves a little nip, then Chase is going to cry.
I'm not going to. I've had it already. I feel like
I'm going to have some.
I was going to say, I haven't had it in a minute, and I was
cool
saving
thing-
myself for the rise.
Yeah.
So.
About this new way of recording is I can Google things while we record.
I think technology is wonderful.
It really is.
Yes.
I think the rendezvous.
I could even
What
do
a blessing.
picture-in-picture if y'all want to see my screen, but
what
we're
a
not going to do
blessing.
that.
It's also a Shakespeare reference.
You were born in 93? God damn it.
Oh, and I'm looking up Midwinter Night's Dram.
So again, very limited. I don't know how easy it will be to get at this stage in the game, but it just put it on your radar for next year and look after it because I think you should definitely try it. It's not cheap. The bottled at High West thing on the front of the label is kind of important because they are not distilling this. It is coming from it is a sourced distillation.
Yeah.
I do believe it's still MGP, but I could be wrong.
MGP and HDW, or HWD, whatever that is.
HWD.
High West Distillery.
High West. So there you go. Partially their own distillate, partially MGP. And I think that they probably would love to get to a point where they can do it all themselves. But really, sourcing your distillate doesn't much matter if you make great product.
Yeah, it doesn't say like it says ratio of whiskeys top secret. So
Yeah.
we don't know like the age.
Yeah, well, they're not going
if
to tell
there
you
is,
until
yeah.
it's all theirs.
Yep. So yeah.
Sitting
Midwinter
alongside
Night's
a
Dram.
cozy fire, that makes complete sense with these like French oak port.
Now, I think whiskeys only taste "quote unquote" manipulated if they don't work, because all barrel finishing is manipulation, right? All blending is manipulation. Otherwise, we'd just rip stuff right out of casks, and we wouldn't ever mess with balance at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's been manipulated in terms of its barrel finishing, and yeah, it tastes a lot like baking spice along with rye grain spice,
Yeah.
but if you nail it, you nail it, and this is a whiskey that gets it right almost every year, and this particular release is very good.
And that's the cool thing I think too. A lot of people put so much like hoopla into what a master distiller does, but master blenders I think too are one of the most important jobs in the industry, because if you get a distillate that's funky and weird, that's the type of person that would have the idea to make something like a Midwinter Night's Dram by doing that secondary barrel aging. So yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, the like fig apricot, the dried fruit finish, and you still have that spice lingering in your mouth and your throat at the same time. It's just such a nice combination with Christmas cake.
Brendan Coyle, master distiller. Non-chill filtered, no coloring or flavoring added.
And she's dark too. That comes from the port, of course.
Delicious.
Yes, quite good.
10 out of 10 would recommend.
We're doing this guy next. Oh, did we hold this one up to the camera?
I think so.
Okay, cool. You want to do this one next?
Yeah.
New riff.
New riff. Just hadn't gotten around to trying it. I know it's been on the market for a year or two. New Kentucky Bourbon, and by that we mean new distillery, but also new. Like, it's young. It is 4 years old. New Riff Distillery, Newport, Kentucky. This is the bonded, so right at a neat 100 proof. All of their stuff has been, I think, 4 years old. A new riff on an old tradition is their thing.
And they do the similar thing to Copper and Kings, where they agitate their barrels with high volume music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get it? Because it's riff. It's like a sexy riff.
So this one you're looking at non-GMO grains, 65% corn, 30% rye, and 5% malted barley. Represents a new riff on Kentucky's most hollowed whiskey tradition. Aged 4 years, 53 gallon toasted and charred new oak barrels. Yeah. good stuff. Let's taste it.
So they're kicking out young, good bourbon. They're doing a ton of store picks. Like, it's really easy to do a New Riff store pick if you go down there. And I think what's really cool for young bourbon is how well balanced it is.
Yeah, it really is. There's no like sharp edges to it, really. You know?
Nope. And this is one of the few really sweet new bourbons that I really, really like.
I have to admit, its sweetness, like, I didn't give myself a pour, but I tried some when we got it. Its sweetness is nice because some of the younger bourbons that don't go past 4 years, I get that tequila flavor that I dislike in it. That young, or the White Dog, like, there's just a young spirit flavor that I personally have an avoidance to, but the sweetness level of this does help mask it a little bit.
And you get a good amount of that 30% rye.
That's true.
On
Yeah,
the
the
end of it,
rye
too.
is a little rye heavy, so that's really nice as well.
And I think that's really to its credit. And I think the 100 proof is well integrated.
Right
It
where it
wears
should
itself
be, yep.
nicely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The price point is pretty decent. We're paying like $55, I think, a bottle.
I heard their distillery is pretty nice. Like, you
Supposed to
know,
be a
modern
good
and
shot.
fancy.
Yeah,
It's
we
pretty
should probably
interesting.
check it out if we're
It
down there.
looked a lot, like you said, Booms, like Copper and Kings.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, modern.
Judging by like the pictures of things that I see on this here website.
Is it in the same area of Kentucky as they are?
No, Copper Kings is in downtown Louisville, or Butchertown, Louisville. I don't know exactly where Newport
Newport
is,
is.
but we'll go.
Cool.
We'll see it someday. But if you're kind of just discovering these products or want something that's different that you haven't tasted or maybe your friend hasn't tasted, I think the New Riff is a pretty cool thing. Yes, it is young and it drinks young, but it's a good example of how to do young bourbon really, really well.
Right, yeah.
Yep, there's single barrel stuff out there. There are store picks out there. There's the bottled and bond out there. I've tasted about 3 or 4 store picks now, plus this, and everything's been pretty great.
Does Gus have a pick as well over at Merchants?
I tasted his pick from earlier this year. I don't think
Nice.
there's any left.
Ah, okay.
But I think they're cranking those out, so he might do.
Another pick.
He might
So
do. I'm
it's
sure.
like
he will.
Newport, Kentucky is like right as you get into Kentucky from either Ohio
Oh, right
or
on the
Oh,
very
on the
northern.
border with Cincy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually makes it an easy
So
stop.
you could, look at that. Enhance.
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 Enhance. So you could go to the Eagle and crush some some hot honey chicken and that cornbread casserole thing, and then just dip
Dude,
over.
that fucking cornbread casserole.
I know.
Oh my god.
I know.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, remember she brought it over in like a crock,
Yes.
and I'm like, why did we even
the
order
only way
this?
it can be served. It's so like
So
not
good.
goopy
I
in a
am
bad way,
now
but it's wet.
invoiced by that.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
That was good stuff. So that's a great base. You just like
Yeah,
nail a bunch
yeah,
of
yeah.
like Cincy.
And then go check
comfort
out
food.
New Riff.
Yeah,
He's
and then
got
go
a
check out
coffee
New
burnt
Riff.
esophagus and he's newly moistened.
Yeah, yeah, and he needs some hot honey
hot
chicken.
Yeah, I do.
Well,
Excellent.
He's not working later. It's fine.
He isn't working later. So we have, let's
What
see,
do we got?
1, 2, 3 more. We are cooking. What's the time at?
We are looking at 34 minutes and 3 seconds.
Excellent.
So about where we
Talk
were
about
for
bourbon.
last time.
Oh, well, we're not going that fast. Let's slow it down.
Okay.
No.
I want to take it
what's
really
next?
slow. Like,
Welcome to my TED Talk. So, this one's the highest proof. We're going to wait on this one.
that's the time I wish I had like a soundboard. It could be like,
Right here.
add it in, Jonathan Cole.
Like a needle drop.
That is what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bardstown Bourbon Company, Ferrand. So, Bardstown Bourbon Company is in Bardstown. It's kind of just out of town, out in the middle of this place. This expanse,
It's
right?
another
where
new modern distillery as well.
very new, very modern.
Only like 5 minutes away from Heaven Hill, but you do have to go the other side of the highway where it's like a big.
Like New
Open
Age
space.
modern or
Big
retro
open space.
modern or what do you think?
It felt like a Napa winery in there. when
Oh,
we
really?
went.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
very, very like hipster walls.
Hipster posh,
Yeah,
yep. Their big thing at the distillery is that they do serve other people's bourbons, and they have all of this like ancient whiskey on their menu, like all these dusty bottles that you can buy for, more than your rent.
Base amounts.
Yeah, if you're into that. And Bardstown Bourbon Company, the way I hear it told, is that they're kind of a new MGP for a lot of people. They're
was
doing a
gonna say
lot of distillate that other people are buying.
Yeah, they do a lot of not only distilling, but then they do barrel aging in the house as well.
I think so.
And then they send it on to be bottled. Yeah.
So now they're starting to put out stuff under their own label. They've been operational as a production distillery before this, but now we're seeing things come out underneath the Bardstown Bourbon Company label. Discovery, Fusion, and this one is Ferrand.
Yeah.
They're pretty transparent about what's going on in each bottle, right on the bottle, in fact, except for this one.
That's the exact.
Oh, I have it right here. Come on, look
for
at
the
it.
friend.
What's that?
The lettering, the brand lettering, excuse me, for friend is exactly. That's why I was just pointing at this. So there's like a horse/zebra on the back.
Is this what
Of
you're
the
looking
F
for?
for friend.
Isn't a zebra already a horse/zebra?
Well, only because it only has zebra lines on the back, but not the front. So I didn't know if it was a crossbred horse/zebra.
Is a hot
Or
dog a
just a
sandwich?
zebra.
Is the real
Yes.
question.
A hot dog's a sandwich.
Is cereal soup?
Well, see, that's
So soup would have all the ingredients
it. Would be
cooked together.
What's the cold version of soup called?
Gazpacho, but
Gazpacho.
no, but still all the ingredients marry together.
Sure. Yeah.
You don't
yeah.
think that cereal milk is getting married by the cereal, like as it sits and stuff?
Have
Of
you
course
ever had
it does.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Yes, I
It's
love
the
it.
taste you can see because it's in the milk.
It's absolutely true.
We've gotten on a tangent, my dudes.
The blend is 7 and 11-year-old Kentucky bourbon aged in Ferrand casks for
Yes,
8
it
months. So for those who don't know what a Ferrand cask is, Maison Ferrand is a cognac house in France, and they are aging this in cognac barrels. Now, there's a good chance that all the distillate in this is not all from Bardstown. They have sourced distillate before to put in some of the Bardstown Company whiskeys. I'm not going to tell you what the distillery is. We know,
We
but
do know.
I don't know exactly how.
We might not want to put that out there.
How much everybody else wants
Right.
us to say that, so we're not going to say it. But they have sourced from an extremely reputable Kentucky distillery to fill out some of these blends so they can make as much as they want to make of it.
Did we show this to the camera?
It's funny, you can smell the
Close up.
grapes in it.
Yeah.
From
Oh yeah.
barely, yeah.
So this one, according to Bardstown's website, if you're looking for it at market price, it'll run you about $125.
Yep. So not Old Tub.
No.
Not 1783.
That is a
Little,
special gift bottle if it's
Mm-hmm.
if it's your Christmas gift purchase.
Apparently their distillery collection release is $200, and I would love to try that.
Me too.
And that's not to say that price dictates the quality of the whiskey. But
No, but in
Not
this
at all.
case, we feel like this one's really worth it.
Yeah.
We've got some older distillate. We've got an extraordinary amount of well-done barrel aging. The integration from said barrel is really good. And it's new on the market, so I don't know how much they're putting out. I don't know how tightly allocated it is. This will be one of the more controlled products, but you also should be able to find it. We hope.
it does taste like high corn, yeah.
Yeah, the 7 year is 78% corn, 10% rye, 12% malted barley, which is awfully high.
It is
Yeah,
pretty
it
high,
is.
yeah. I was gonna say,
And then the 11 year is 75 corn, 13 rye, and 25 barley. So I don't know if we wouldn't ever call it high barley bourbon because that's not a
I
thing.
don't
No.
think they have, yeah. There's not enough to even classify it as that. It would
But
just
there's
be-
usually you see 5%.
Yeah,
And
right.
this is over twice that.
I would love to taste a high barley bourbon, though, just to see how weird it is. You know?
Well, does the balcones we tried the other day technically count? It's
Oh,
only
well, no,
barley.
that's single malt, though.
Yes.
That's a single malt though. Yeah. So
Yeah.
There's no corn in that one, right?
No.
right. So the high rye or wheated in bourbon in the
It's always
bourbons, it
percentage.
refers to the percentage of the secondary grain in reference to the corn in relation to the corn.
I love the cognac influence of this one. I like the barley. I can taste it. I can still taste the corn.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for
This
those
is
who
this
love
is
bourbon,
high
that's
corn.
great.
Too high corn for
For
you.
this, I like the taste of it, but I don't think I would drink a whole one.
No.
Yeah. Which doesn't mean it's not great. I just like to add my little perspective in every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even when you Google high barley bourbons, Google is like, did you mean high rye?
Yeah.
Did you mean 4 grain? Did you mean wheat?
Yeah, Google's like that's not a thing, you
Yeah.
dumbass.
High barley bourbons. Apparently Woodford Reserve.
Really?
No,
No,
it's not though. I know that grain bill.
Is it a release?
No,
maybe?
that's just when it's doing that. It's
Google's
just,
like, does not compute.
Google's throwing darts.
It's
man.
helping you out.
Yeah, you mean Woodford. Everybody Googles Woodford. Woodford. It's Woodford. It's Woodford.
All right.
You're an older gent, right? Because you're Googling something nonsensical.
yeah, doesn't exist.
No, it's Woodford. You love Woodford.
Drink it. You'll love it. It's great.
Here's some
Go
3-quart.
to a trivia,
Oh, no.
to a pub trivia with Google. You're not gonna win.
No, you're
Believe it
not.
or not.
You won't win.
Yeah.
2 left.
Also, that's cheating.
It is.
No,
cheating.
I was
If she-
anthropomorphizing Google.
Oh, okay.
Like
She's
those-
funny. So
yeah,
it's like
college
it would be like
humor
playing
videos.
trivia against Janet from The Good Place.
right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Not
Just get-
doable.
Oh, I
Crushed.
never finished The Good Place.
It's so good.
It's really good. Yeah, it's great.
is good.
Yeah.
It's implied.
All right, so 2 left, and I can't believe that we're going to taste an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof before something else, because usually that would be the absolute end of the show.
This is madness.
It is, and none of us have tried this yet.
Actually, yeah, I haven't tried this yet.
Yeah, I've been meaning to, but there's been some other stuff. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, put out 3 times a year, usually denoted by the 4-character kind of legend piece down in the right hand side.
C921.
Yeah, C921. So C refers to the third quarter of the year, so they'll be lettered A, B, and C as far as the 3 releases throughout the year. 921 just refers to September of the 9th month, and then 21 is in 2021. And that is how they kind of code these now, because they used to put it out once a year, then they started putting it out more, and we started calling it like fall of 2015 or the hazmat release because it was 140 proof. And now they're actually coding it for us, so we have a little reference point for which, when it came out. This is at 120.2 proof, which is the lowest proof I can remember seeing Elijah Craig Barrel Proof.
Because they usually come out like a little hotter than that, right?
I've seen them in 130s. Lately, it's been a little bit lower than that. But somebody in a bourbon forum's like, oh, well, I was there when it was 136 proof. And it was
I was
a lot
there,
better
man.
Than, yeah, it was so much better.
It was so cool back in the day.
Yeah, should they just make it like that? Well, if they made it like that, it would be The Force Awakens. Okay, and this is The Last Jedi, and it's still really good, and I'm sorry if it doesn't fit your expectations. I haven't had this yet, and I'm already mad.
I'm glad that we're slowly just putting Star Wars reference into every one of our episodes.
Yeah, meanwhile, Cole, our producer, is going to be like, well, actually.
Here's how I can fix that reference for you.
This says it's 12 years old, which is maybe it's hearsay because it's on pastemagazine.com, but we'll see.
Reputable.
Right, yeah.
For the proof, though, I would take that.
But interestingly, there's no...
Well, 12 years was the former sweet spot for Elijah Craig Bourbon.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what what you think of as a small batch, that was the age statement for years, and then they couldn't accomplish it, so they took the age statement away, and now it's it's like 10 or 11 years sometimes. It's a little bit younger.
So this is back to what they were traditionally trying to do with
According to
this
Pace
expression.
Magazine.
Well, yeah. Let's see what Breaking Bourbon says. Oh, that's C920. Lies!
There might not be much on this yet because it just came out.
Yeah, that's
I
probably
love
true.
this. It doesn't taste anything like
Because there's not even
this is
a,
fantastic.
It's grassy and delicious.
There's not even a master malt or a whiskey advocate.
So the graininess and the grassiness that's present in the Elijah Craig Rye and present in the bourbon is still here.
Yeah.
And remarkably well integrated with an alcohol content that is far higher than their usual 94 proof. At 120, this drinks really, really nicely.
It really does, yeah.
They always have. It's about as good a lesson as you can get in integrating high alcohol into bourbon. Is just following the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof
It's
series.
got like a delicious dark chocolate dryingness at the back end of it.
I can't even taste that. I'm getting drunk right now.
Whoa.
It's fantastic.
You get paid for this, Mark Miller.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
So I hadn't had this up until this point, and you were asking us to put in our top 5 whiskeys of the year, so we can.
Are you going to add this one already?
Ooh, let's do it.
I'm really close to adding this one because I
Yeah.
think it's really well done. I'm going to have a bit bigger of a dram as I close, but I'm right there. I'm like on the fence with it. It's really, really great.
It would reach near the top for me, right? So it'd probably get like a 7.
Which is high marks
High marks
for a
for
bourbon.
a bourbon,
Yeah.
yeah. And not even technically a high rye bourbon, right?
Not technically. I don't think they've never made a point of advertising that, so I know.
Can I just make my whiskey of the whiskey of the year list just say Ardbeg all of them?
You
Yeah,
could.
can you just vary the
if you want to be a really, really lazy douche about it. See, but I'm going to go out of the box,
wouldn't
right?
put
Because
that
I'm going
past
to do...
No, you shouldn't.
Mine are all flavored. So mine are Evan Williams White Label with honey syrup. Evan Williams
course,
White
yes.
Label with cinnamon syrup. Evan
Yes.
Williams White Label with cold brew coffee.
Yes.
A la Marc Miller podcast. Evan Williams White Label with a little bit of jam and ice cream mixed in.
Lavender, of
Yep.
course,
Yep.
lavender.
And then my Evan Williams 19-year Infinity bottle, neck pour only.
For those of you listening only, not seeing my face right now, it is the equivalence of what the fuck.
It's horror.
Yeah,
Booms isn't mad. She's just furious.
I'm disappointed. Not mad, I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I don't even have to write that list. You got it. Just listen to it. Play it
Yeah,
back.
Play it back.
It's fine.
Play it back. Yep, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I love working here.
That's wonderful. I do think that it's just that big mouthfeel and that big round
Yeah.
finish to it.
Again, Elijah Craig is just one of my favorite labels to exist in the bourbon world today.
Yeah.
I think all the stuff they do is phenomenal.
That barrel proof is outstanding.
So if you've never had it and you see a bottle, buy it.
And just because I do have taste notes from the old ones in my head, like it is comparatively lighter.
Oh, absolutely.
At 120, which is crazy to say because you're sipping this monstrous whiskey, but
yeah. I mean, I personally have tasted the 16 through the 20, and yeah, this one's very
not excessively oily or viscous. Though,
no,
so
yeah,
it still is light in the mouthfeel, which is really good.
But yeah, that 2016 was aggressive.
A monster.
It was hot, yeah. Okay, last but not least, this is not a bourbon. It's not a rye. It is American blended whiskey. It was the 2020 release, but we didn't get it until 2021, so we're including it on the show. Much like a Oscar qualifying film being released just a hair too late, getting nominated the year after. Too early, correct. So this is an experiment by Freddie No. He's trying to essentially pay homage to his grandfather Booker. Same bottling style, making it at almost always the same exact proof, right around the 120 range, but doing some really, really interesting things.
Is this chapter 5?
This is Lessons Honored.
Well, I have the invitation pulled up here.
What's the proof on that?
The proof is... I don't know. So this must be this year's release that they're talking about.
Yeah. Just the kind of whiskey Booker would have loved.
Previous releases.
Yeah, which we always get these late.
Lessons Honored. Okay. So this is the guy we're looking at here.
Right.
Proof is... Reading.
Now, Booker's versus
It does not say.
book while Mark is looking, is that a denotation that it's basically like a young Booker? Or
Well, that was his nickname.
Little Book?
To hear Freddie say it, because he was so much like his grandfather, that's what they called him.
Okay, that's
growing
nice
up
to me.
was Little Book.
Very interesting.
Mark and I got to do a tasting with him a few years back.
Let's not talk about it.
Well, I mean, it was fine while we were doing it. You had a little bit of a bad night.
It was great while we were doing it, yeah, but it was afterwards.
You want to cry in the car.
It was something else. I'm trying to find the proof on this.
I'll take this
Well,
snip of that one.
Oh, here we go. 122.8.
Yeah, so that's this whiskey.
Yeah.
Right? And you've got...
The blend is...
There you go.
Let's go back to this so we can... The blend you're looking at on this guy is 4-year brown rice Kentucky bourbon, 7-year Kentucky straight bourbon, and 9-year Kentucky straight rye. Mm-hmm. So lots of stuff going on in this guy.
Mm-hmm. Little Book's whiskeys have been, or shall I say the whiskeys underneath the Little Book label have been always very interesting. We had one that had about a 40-year-old Canadian blend that was really
weird.
Really weird. They've always been really good. They haven't always been necessarily my cup of tea, and I never thought that they've all been successful. I wanted to feature this one because I think it's the best release in the series yet. Really, really impressed with just how well done it is and how those older spirits marry rather nicely. I don't have enough experience with brown rice bourbon, which I assume is bourbon with a secondary grain of brown rice.
Yeah. Well, that Basil Hayden toast also has brown rice.
So this is obviously a bean thing that they're doing.
That is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It smells like after dinner mints. I mean,
and alcohol. Complimentary after dinner mints. Really?
But it tastes so much sweeter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's funky.
Now, comparative to the Elijah Craig that we just drank, which is... Yeah, it's like the same...
Yeah, that's a good...
It's the same proof, right? But this is way funkier and it's a little gnarlier on the finish. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think Jamaican rum is a great reference.
I end up getting the corn, but it's almost like a candy corn, like the type of super syrupy corn sweetness. Yeah. I mean, tons of bold and funky and spicy flavors, but I don't get the bit of corn that I dislike out of it.
I mean, it might be
so not corn syrup.
Not corn syrup,
mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. It might be the power of suggestion, but I feel like I can taste the brown rice more than anything, more than corn or...
I mean, I love brown rice too, and I feel like I taste the nuttiness of a brown rice.
Yeah.
Sure. I think it remains to be seen whether or not this will actually be a trend, because we don't know that many people that are doing it and releasing it that we've tasted, but like...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would do brown rice bourbon all day. Yeah.
It's right up
I am your market. I am your market. Brown rice bourbon. This is good.
Well, yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
11, 12. No, just 10.
10.
Okay.
So that's 10 bourbons.
That's not bad.
We did it.
How many scotches did we do?
About this.
All right.
I think we did...
About a dozen.
Maybe like 1 or 2 more scotches.
Yeah.
So there you go. You've got marching orders on 21 whiskeys that we thought were really great, that if you want to go hunting for, some of them will be easy to find, some of them will be really, really hard to find.
Some you can get right here.
Some you can come here and just drink. But I like doing this at the end of the year because we see a whole heckin' lot of whiskey pass our desks, our bar, a lot of which we don't buy.
Some are easy to forget. Others are remarkable.
It's funny, too, because out of the 21 that we just talked about in the last 2 weeks, we probably tasted another 20 just recently because there's been a lot of whiskey coming in that we didn't buy at all.
Yeah.
So
it's always happening here at the R&R. We're always tasting new stuff, trying to bring new bottles in.
Yeah, these are picked from a number of things that we carry and that we didn't even buy at all. That just these are the ones we're talking about at the end of the year that we want to share with people at the end of the year.
Yeah. And I don't know, are we going to do one more episode before the end of the year? I don't know if we are. I think this was the last scheduled one before Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, man, so next year...
Can we do Can we just do an episode where we show everybody how to use a Fausengen bowl or something like that?
A what now?
A Fausengen bowl?
Who?
To make German mulled wine with?
I don't see how that's possible.
I
have one.
I know that you have one.
He's like, let me pull out my crazy toys.
Yeah. Or one episode where
Chemistry
we just drink cider out of that thing.
Oh yeah,
from your Hot Ones episode.
Yeah.
No, I think this is the end because
last episode of 2021.
next week is it's Christmas in like 10 days.
Right.
And then the week after that is Hell Week, which is what I like to call the week in between Christmas and New Year's.
And then I'm going to be gone.
Then you're gone to Nolans.
You could do an episode without me.
We will do an episode without you. We'll think of something really touching.
Yeah. We're just going to wax poetic about all the reasons that you're awesome.
Yep.
Or all the reasons I frustrate you.
And drink all your favorite drinks.
Well, before we sign off, should we do like one more dram for a good salute to 2021? What do you want to do?
Finish what I currently have.
We
can't kill the bottle of
No, hand me that Craig Barrel
beautifully
Proof.
Delicious.
That's what I'm going to do a little bit of. Because why not?
We have at least, 8 to 10 ounces left in there.
Mm-hmm. All I have to do after this is a schedule and an order, and then work on it.
And then work on it. Side note, too, I think this is the first episode in 16 episodes where all of us, no one has worn a hat.
Really?
Yeah. I think we finally did it, guys.
Or the same shirt.
Or the same shirt.
I brought a little color today. I got my orange. I popped my orange stud puffin shirt from Avocado.
You'll love to see it.
I love puffins.
What are you drinking, Foley?
Oh well, you know what? It's the end of the year. We're gonna have a new year coming up. So here's to a hot new riff for all y'all in 2022.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Cheers. Salute, Slancha,
Prost,
Nostrovia, all of the good wishes to you in 2022. We'll see you back here in the new year. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
This is where we can vamp.
Vamp?
Yeah.
What do you mean vamp?
Is that what they call it? I don't know. Riff?
Riff is no. What you're thinking of is riff because of isn't vamping acting overtly in kind of like a sexy way?
I mean, I don't know.
Or a cheesy way.
What's the thing when you're on a podcast and someone's just trying to
being a vampire.
fill airtime, you know?
Close enough.
What do you mean? Was filler, right?
Sure. I don't know.
Hold on. No. We're looking this up. Everybody needs to know vamp definition. Because I think for some reason, I just think of Tim Curry or Madeline Kahn.
Sure.
Introductory passage.
None of this.
Simple jazz.
Why is it called vamping? Jesus Christ, it's about repairing shoes. I don't know.
Oh, what?
So stupid. Originally refers to repairing shoes with a new upper part called a vamp. Nobody even knows that.
Nope, certainly not. Did you see Anne Rice just died, by the way?
What?
The Queen of the Vampires?
Yep.
It might be a drag term.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
All right.
Anyway, using sexual attractiveness to get what you want. I think anybody can vamp regardless of gender.
Unless
Is that what you're going to do now?
No.
Please no. I need you to focus.
Woo!
2021,
Shaking it.
almost over. You can vamp later. That's pretty much vamping.
You can vamp if you want to.
Yeah, it looks like it to me.
Shake it if you got it.